What's up, good people? Welcome to the latest edition of Terrible Towel Tuesday. I am your host, Sim Football Critic, and we're going to talk a little bit here tonight, man. I'm going to wait for some of you guys to get off up in here, so hold tight. I welcome you guys, man, and I appreciate you guys being here. So give me a second. You guys know how I always do, man. I shoot out the link to some very important people, and then I'll dive in and see what you guys have to say. So give me just a second, but welcome. I hope everybody's had a great weekend. We watched some playoff football, and now we got to talk a little Steelers drama. All right, so let's go ahead and get this link out really quick, and then we will get her cracking. We'll do our roll call, and y'all know we'll get it cracking, man. So give me just a hot second here as we get started. How's everybody doing this evening? Hope everybody is doing well. I got one more link to send out. Here it is, and now we can get it cracking. All right, welcome, Steelers fans, man. Let's do it. Let's see who we got already. We got Smitty753, more AGWS. Jalen Brown is in the building. And that's all for right now. Let me wait for a few more of you guys to get up in here, man. Then we'll get started. Give me just a hot second here. But I hope everybody's doing well, man. I hope everybody is doing well. Got some interesting things to talk about, man. Some very interesting things to talk about. As you see, I'm asking the question already, you know, who will be running the defense for the Pittsburgh Steelers come 2019 season? And that's a very important question, man, and I'll get to the reasons why here in just a moment. Got some more people in here. Tony, my brother Tony, Y Diggy, Eli Coolin, Champagne Poppy, my good brother Kenyon, and Roland Young. And yeah. Let's get it cracking, man. So I see you guys are in here. We'll worry about the crowd picking up later. And, you know, for you guys that come on a little bit later, I hope you guys enjoy the replay. So let's start with a little bit of news here, man. So Mike Munchak, guys, is actually going to be away from the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, Mike Munchak, if you guys haven't already heard, you know, he was considered for the head coaching job for the Denver Broncos. Fangio got the job. But then they continue to pursue Mike Munchak, and, you know, rumor has it they went at him pretty hard to get him to come out to Denver. Now, here's the funny thing, man. I'm going to talk about some of us Steelers fans here really quick, and I'll talk a little more about it as we go on with this episode, because it's funny to me, man, how it seems like some of us, you know, we try to spin a narrative in our favor. Okay, we look for anything out there that has the potential to match our own narrative. Case in point. So you see a lot being reported about Mike Munchak. You're seeing people saying that, you know, the Steelers aren't trying hard enough. They're not, you know, giving up enough money. It was rumored that it was some guy who was, you know, proclaiming to say that Mike Munchak was his uncle. And I'm not saying if he was or wasn't, but, you know, it's a report out there where he was saying, you know, it was because of family reasons, which most of us would have understood that. But then he also tried to say that, you know, the Steelers and Munchak, you know, couldn't come up with a contract agreement. So he decided, you know, to go to the Broncos. Now, let me nip that in the bud. First and foremost, I mean, Mike Munchak himself, you know, basically stated, and give me a second, guys. The stream is bugging out really quick. Let me know if you guys are still seeing it. For some reason, it's saying it's running kind of slow. I don't know why that is. Give me a second, see if I can fix it really fast, guys. Give me a quick second. And y'all let me know if y'all can still see everything fine. Hold on. Let's see what is going on here. What is going on here? So give me a hot second, man. I'm trying to get the stream back running the way it's supposed to. Look like it's slowly but surely pulling along, and I don't want that to be the case, man. I don't want you guys to suffer for whatever reason it's telling me that the stream signal is low. I don't know why that is. Okay, y'all said I'm good. Okay, yeah, I don't know what was going on there, man. I think sometimes YouTube reports weirdly. It said it was a bad stream. I don't know why that is. I have tremendous speed, you know, not bragging or nothing, but come on. All right, but anyway, y'all said we good. All right, so let's get back into the Mike Munchak thing really quick. I don't want to spend too much time here. He said himself, you know, he did a interview or, you know, article or whatever with Ed Bouchette, you know, for the PPG, you know, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. And he said himself, it was absolutely, you know, family reasons. Now, again, guys, we don't know what's the truth and what's not. You know, if he did have a problem, he's a much classier guy than to say or, you know, put anything negative towards, you know, Mike Tomlin. Okay, thanks, Tony. Tony let me know that you guys can see and hear me. But, yeah, he's a more classier guy, man. He's not going to sit there and say anything crazy, right? You know, he even talked about his respect for Mike Tomlin and even said, you know, how he would have, you know, spent his whole career there. He would have retired under Mike Tomlin, said he loved working under Mike Tomlin, and he would have rather had stayed there as a line coach, you know, rather than take a head coaching job anywhere else. Now, where's the proof of that? Okay, he turned down head coaching jobs that were vacant this year. The only job that he did pursue was the one in Denver, which we are told that Mike Munchak has a daughter and a grandchild in Denver. It made perfect sense for him, and it still makes perfect sense to him. He also went on to say, oh, man, hold on. Real quick, guys. We got to get a shout out to my here, Yisrael. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. He says the Bronx in the house. I got to give him a round of applause for the donation. Appreciate that, my brother, man. Listen, my wife is from the Bronx, so, you know, I got ties to the Bronx. Her family's from the Bronx, her father, her mother, so always love for the BX, but I appreciate that donation. But, yeah, so, again, let me just sum it up really quick, man. He went on to say in the article that, you know, at 58 years old, there's more things that you consider, you know, than more things that are more important, things like family. He has a daughter there, a grandchild. He even said that was the reason why it was attractive for him to come to Pittsburgh, because he's from, you know, the area, he said, on the other side of the state. And, you know, it was just, you know, that's what kind of drove him back to Pittsburgh. He loved it here. But now, of course, if you got a daughter with a young child that lives in Denver, why not? Okay. So we all know it's for family reasons. But again, I see so many people out there trying to spin the narrative and said he wanted to get out of the circus and he wanted to get from under Tomlin and all of that. Come on, man. I mean, listen, again, none of us will ever know the truth, but go read the article and listen to the words that Munchak chose to choose. Whether he's all the way truthful or not, that's what he said. All right, so let's get that out of the way. So Sean Surratt, his name is. Not too familiar with him. I know he was pretty much an understudy on the staff, but, you know, he spoke highly of him in the article as well. You know, I've heard Dave and Alex over at Steelers Depot talk about Surratt, basically saying he was Munch's right-hand man. You know, if anybody was prepared to take the job, it would be him. So I'm hoping that, you know, that is the case. We won't miss a beat. You know, we can definitely say that Mike Munchak has definitely, you know, helped our offensive line be what they are. You look at a guy like Al Villanueva, where he came from. I mean, this dude is turned into a legit left tackle. You know, so you got to give Mike Munchak a lot of that credit. We do have some great athletes on the line as well. But again, you got to give coaches the credit and you give coaches the blame, you know, when the things are not working. So none of us can sit here and say that Munchak didn't do a great job with the offensive line. Now, let's talk about a couple other things really quick before we get into the saga, you know, that's continuing to go on. So, Pittsburgh Steelers have hired a couple people that some people may not have known about. One guy that they hired, and the name slips me right now, so if y'all bear with me for just a second, I'm going to see if I can get the name up here in the article where I saw it. You know, shout outs to Steelers Depot once again. Let me see if I can find it, guys. But basically, this was interesting. They hired a guy who used to be an intern for analytics. Okay, let me see if I can find him. I want to give you guys the full story and the full name. I can't find it, man. But anyway, they hired, I think the guy's last name is Wyamore, I think his name was. I saw the article earlier, man. My apologies that I don't have it right on hand. But basically, it's interesting. They said that this. Oh, here it is. I just found it. His name is Jay Whitmire. Okay. So they said that the Pittsburgh Steelers have hired Jay Whitmire to be the team's analytics intern. According to their site that they posted, basically, Whitmire did play at the University of Virginia from 2011 to 2015. He was also invited to the Chicago Bears minicamp, et cetera, et cetera. So he has some experience there. But more importantly, it's basically saying that the team is going to start looking at more analytics and, you know, doing some of the things that other teams are starting to do to improve the way they operate. And I would assume this would be not just on the field, but this would be draft personnel and you know, how you go through that process, how you would like to go after free agents, and how you would handle things during the game, I would assume. You know, the numbers game and such like that. So, listen, I know it might sound small to some of you guys. Excuse me. Probably going to have to grab some water here in a moment. I know it might sound like a small thing, but again, anything to me that's going to help the team. Give me a second. See, I get choked up talking about our Steelers, man. Anything that's going to help the team progress, both on the field and off, I'm with it. I'm all for that, okay? So we'll have to keep our eyes on that to see what that actually turns out to be. Another hiring that I know you guys have been waiting for me to talk about, and we'll dive into that. Then we'll dive into some of the Antonio Brown mess. I'll take a few phone calls. I see that my man Jaylen Brown already hit me up, so I know we're going to bring him on. We'll check out the chat. Then we'll be out of here. We're doing good on time so far. So, the Pittsburgh Steelers have hired Terrell Austin as he's being labeled as an assistant, and not only assistant, senior assistant for the defensive side of the ball, okay? A senior assistant for the defense. Now, this is very interesting to me because it makes me ask the question, who will be running the defense? Who will be calling the plays? Who will have more of an imprint on the defense? And, you know, just basically plain out English, who will be running the defense? Now, before I get down and go down that road, let me point out something else that I saw earlier today. Again, you know, people trying to create their own narrative. So, James Harrison, folks, okay, in case you didn't see it, James Harrison, I believe, was on the Undisputed again. And, you know, he basically said that Tomlin has been running the defense this entire time. Now, it's funny because I saw people on Twitter challenging that. Shout outs to Alex Kazor at Steelers Depot. Here's the thing. I'm seeing people say that, yeah, of course Tomlin has been running it the whole time. That's why it's not good. And, you know, he overrides everything Butler does. And here's the funny thing to me. Stop believing everything you hear and believe in your own eyes. What do you see on Sundays? Do we see Mike Tomlin walking around with a play call sheet? I don't. Now, it's funny that people can spin that narrative, but most people will tell me, and shout outs to my father-in-law, Leonard, and this is nothing, you know, negative towards Leonard, but Leonard would be in favor of saying Tomlin needs to take over the defense. And the reason why I use that example is because obviously none of us think that Tomlin is running the show. Is his imprint on it? I'm sure. Or have we starting to see a little more cover two? Yeah, we run a lot of it. Are we seeing some of that Tampa 2 background? Yes, we are. But it is not, in my opinion, just with the eye test, the guy doesn't have a play call sheet on Sundays. Okay? So you're not going to sit here and make me think that with all the other things that's going on, he's just calling the plays out of memory. He could be, but even if you want to believe that, okay, let's go to this one. Why is Keith Butler still on the staff? Is that the case? If that's the case, why would he be there as a defensive coordinator? If Tomlin has been running the defense the whole time, that makes no sense to me. Listen, people can say, well, listen, James Harrison is a former player and, you know, yada, yada, yada. I understand that, but let's not forget that James Harrison didn't end his career at Pittsburgh in the most, you know, lavish way. He's probably still upset at the way the organization and or the coaching staff handled his situation. Of course, he's going to have some animosity, and do you expect him to really speak the truth? And I'm not calling him a liar, I'm just saying. Come on. Everybody has emotions. Everybody is caught up in their feelings. He can still very well feel a certain way about how things was handled in the end. And that's why you hear him come out and say what he says. But I refuse to believe that Mike Tomlin has been responsible for this defense the entire time in terms of running the defense. I just don't believe that. Let's get to something else really, really quick. I almost forgot, and then I'll get back to my point about the defense. Did you guys hear what Emmanuel Sanders said? I thought it was very telling how Emmanuel Sanders came out and spoke of Antonio Brown. Actually, you know what? I'll hold that. I'll hold that till the next segment because I'm going to talk about that, and then we'll move on. So let me stop rambling. See what happens, guys, when you do things live and off the cuff, no real script. But y'all love it y'all love me for that, so we'll keep it this way. But anyway, back to the defense really quick. I feel like Keith Butler might be in the process of being demoted. And, you know, it's being reported out there that he may actually oversee the outside linebacker group again, as well as his defensive coordinator duties. But to me, hiring a senior assistant, and they're saying that Terrell Austin is going to be dealing with the secondary specifically, what does that say about Bradley? So what's his position now? If he's gonna basically be dealing with the secondary, you know, they said the emphasis, and this is all being reported, the emphasis would be on the secondary. So what is Tom Bradley doing? I have a funny feeling, man, that this is a way to allow Mike Tomlin to expand his staff and give different roles to different people without having to fire anyone. Because let's think about the Steelers history, man. They don't really fire people, you know, especially head coaches. We know that. We've been down that road. And again, for you guys that don't like Mike Tomlin, your best, you know, chance of not having Mike Tomlin will be his contract expires and is not renewed. We continue to see this happen. We don't usually see firings on the staff, both head man down on to the position coaches. And Keith Butler has one more year on his contract. To me, it looks like that could be what's going on here, getting people in place, and maybe Austin might be the guy running the show, and Keith Butler keeps the title. That's very, very possible. So I'm going to be very interested to see how they attack that and how this thing plays out. But I will say this. A lot of us probably were wanting to see Keith Butler gone and all of that, and I agree. It's time for a change. It's time for a new regime. Most of us agree with that. But understanding the still away, I just feel like it's not going to be a firing. And at this point, you know, they're getting ready to go to the East-West game and, you know, the Senior Bowl and all of that. I don't think we're going to see any more firings. I mean, anything is possible, but I don't think we're going to see any additional changes, if you will. Now, Mike Tomlin did say in his last press conference that there would be significant and big changes. But one thing that I talked to Tony about earlier in this week, we don't know if that's just coaching staff. The big changes could be the way we approach free agency. Could be the way, you know, different guys and what they're responsible for as far as their duties now. Again, bringing in Austin, it could be a big change in who does what. We don't know. So, you know, I'm kind of hung up on what he said. I want to see what these big changes are, but it just could be the entire process as a collective. We'll wait and see. Again, it's all speculation. None of us know. So I got to keep it at bay because I have no way of proving any of this. So, all right, the last thing I'll talk about, man, then I'll bring in my caller, give him his 2 to 3 minutes, and then we'll jump into the chat and see what else you guys got, and we'll be up out of here. We're sitting at about 19 minutes right now, so I plan to wrap this thing up in pretty much 30. The last thing I will say here, guys, Antonio Brown is more than likely going to be traded, guys. For you guys that don't like that, listen, I'm here to let you know, as long as I've been a Steelers fan, and, you know, I was a Steelers fan before I even understood football and business, but as an adult, you know, I'm talking from like 17 on, when I could understand. I've never seen the Rooney family come out and speak like that unless they're trying to send a message. For you guys that don't know, Rooney came out and basically said, look, man, it's hard for me to envision Antonio Brown being there, you know, when training camps opens, but we don't have to really get into that right now. It's snow still on the ground. And basically what he's saying is we got plenty of time to hash it out. He's leaving the door open, but to me, I looked at that as more of a politically correct answer, and he's basically sending a shot at Antonio Brown saying, look, we're ready to move on. Okay? He's not returning phone calls, folks. And not only is he not returning phone calls to Mike Tomlin, he's not answering phone calls from Art Rooney. Okay, Antonio Brown has taken the Steelers out of his bio on Twitter. Whether that means anything or not, I don't know. But the day and age that we live in this era, everything is about social media. He's disconnected himself away from the Steelers. There was a picture on his Instagram of half him, half Jerry Rice. Why is that important? Because this is the third time now he's making a reference towards San Francisco like he wants to go there. Hey, I'm going to assume that Antonio Brown will be traded. Is that something that I would want? No, I don't, because of his production. But yes, I do. Let me let y'all hear that again. Yes, I do want him traded, and here's the reason why. You can't have a cancer in the locker room, man. I love Antonio Brown. I got, shirts and things with his number on it and all of that. Love AB. But no one man is bigger than the team. And I'm sorry, I'm going to still love the Steelers after Antonio Brown is long gone. And if it's to the point where he is a cancer and he's a disruptive figure in that locker room, he's got to go. Now, I know some of y'all going to give me some pushback on that, but come on, man. You can't just say you want a guy in the locker room just because of his talent. It don't work like that. Has to be team first or it ain't going to work. And right now, if we can still get something for him, I see, reports, obviously, none of this is fact, but they're saying there's teams that's interested and they might be interested in that trade, a first round or better. And to me, that sounds like 2 first rounders or a first and a second. I don't know about the player for player thing, guys. Come on, you're in dangerous territory when you try to speculate, player for player. I don't know if that'll happen. But, hey, I'm willing to listen to what they want to do, and it's probably going to happen. Antonio Brown's probably not going to be on the roster come 2019. It's just the way he's handling this situation leads me to believe that he's not going to be there. It is what it is. Am I going to hate to see him go? Of course, because of his production, and I've loved watching this kid play. But you can't act like that, bro. Now, what Emmanuel Sanders said, I'll say that, then I'll go get the phone call. Emmanuel Sanders, man, basically did it the right way. He threw blame in all 3 phases. He said, yes, Mike Tomlin, you got to take some of the credit, because you basically created the environment that allows everybody to be a man. He said that. Him and Ryan Clark both said that. And then they said, but with Antonio Brown, he's kind of gotten away with a little too much. And now, that approach blows up in Tomlin's face because you have this one guy who's not mature enough to handle how he likes to run the ship. Everybody else can be accountable and mature and be their own man, but here this guy, is exposing it and makes it look like he doesn't have a handle. So he's obviously going to have to make some changes in terms of how he handles players, etc., etc. But then he threw a lot of blame at Ben Roethlisberger's way. And y'all heard me say this last week. Ben Roethlisberger has not been the best or greatest leader in that locker room. He hasn't. It's been proven, guys, when we've heard what people have said. Remember when Emmanuel Sanders left the first time and he kind of threw a shot at Ben saying, look, Ben was my guy, but he's not Peyton Manning in terms of, what did he say? This leadership and how he's connected. Now we're kind of starting to see that, right? Even if we didn't want to believe it back then, we're kind of starting to see, for you guys who are just starting to come around, you see that passive aggressiveness from Roethlisberger. He's not the best leader. And like Emmanuel Sanders said, if you're supposed to be a leader, lead. All of that stuff, throwing people under the bus. And listen, I don't have a problem with him critiquing James Washington and saying, listen, man, he's got to be able to do this and do that. That's teaching. That's a veteran teaching, his young player. And it's cool that, you got your radio show and all of that. But here's where it gets sticky. When you start critiquing Antonio Brown after you threw a pick in Denver, I don't know, Ben. And then when you say, let's just throw the ball to Juju all 4 downs, that's a shot, bruh. That's a shot. I don't care how you phrase that. That is a shot. You know what I'm saying? That'd be like me taking y'all's calls, right? And after one of y'all get off, I'd be like, man, we should have just let so-and-so speak the whole time. I'm taking a shot. Whether it's, it's ha-ha, joke or not, I'm taking a shot. Ben took a shot at AB right there. You don't say that because you create division between players. What if you created a situation where now AB don't like Juju because of that? It's not good. And then last but not least, like he said, Antonio Brown is immature. The way he's handling the situation. Emmanuel Sanders said you would never see him on the sideline like that on a game that matters, dressed in fur and all of that. He said, no, I would be there for the team even if the coach told me I had to sit because of my personal actions. You ain't going to catch me on that sideline like that. And not in this, in the team gear and then bounce at halftime. And I respect Manny, man, because he said, look, Antonio is my brother, but he was wrong, and those are the type of people that I align myself with. You understand what I'm saying? That's why I respect folks, is when you can keep it real, even if that's your boy, your girl, your husband, your wife, whoever. You're supposed to be able to keep it 100 with your people. So that's all I got. I went a little long right there, but I wanted to say that. So really quick, man, let's grab our caller. You guys look like y'all have been great tonight so far. Got 104 watching them. Appreciate y'all tuning in. We're going to call Jaylen Brown. He's the only caller for the night. We'll give him his 2 to 3. And then we'll be out of here after I read some of you guys' comments. So let's call him up. Yo, Jaylen, what's up, man? Yeah, what's going on, brother?
First, the Fat Boys break up. Now, every day I wake up, there's a brand new rumor about AB. Man.
Yeah, I like that whole reference right there.
I'm sitting here right now looking at my color rush. I got a white jersey in the closet to home. I got the away jersey. I got a Le'Veon jersey, and it's all going to have to get sold, man. I mean, I think the craziest thing to me is that if we sat here a year ago and you told me that the Steelers would not only lose Le'Veon, but is going to lose Antonio Brown too, I would have told you you're crazy and you need to go get drug tested. And now we're sitting here and we're in a situation where I think you hit it right on the head. You got to get rid of this dude for the simple fact that he has become more of an issue than you anticipated. And I don't think it outweighs the production still, but at this point, sometimes the wheels just kind of fall off, and I think this is one of those situations. You don't want to exonerate Ben because he definitely plays a huge role, but at the same time, that's your quarterback. You had him for a long time. He's coming up on the end of his career, so things are a little bit more he has a little bit more leeway than an Antonio Brown would, especially since Antonio Brown also has some of the stuff going on in the offseason. We don't need to get into, but that's his business. But anyways, I just think that now the best thing you could hope for is you fleeced the team like the Raiders last time with Martavis Bryant. They got a gang of first-round picks. You don't want to guarantee anything. Maybe not a top 10, but maybe a top 15, top 20, something like that possibly. And then a second-round pick. I don't think the play-for-play thing doesn't work out just because of contracts and how the salary cap works, all that whatnot. But I think real quick, last thing I wanted to wrap up on was we talk a lot about some of the guys that we're bringing in. Some of the guys that I think that we could think about, too, was a guy like Jerry Olafsky just kind of escaped everything towards the end of the season. The inside linebackers, in my opinion, were pretty good. But, I mean, you're not putting Bostic in position to win games. You got him covering Keenan Allen at the end of the joint. In the Chargers game, that was crazy. I could not believe that. And it's just not a personnel thing per se all the time, but I think a lot of the coaching, you didn't really look at that. With Antonio Brown kind of having a little bit of not necessarily the season we're used to, you maybe look at a guy like Richard Mann retiring, who might have been his guy. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's an array of things that happen. I'm excited for the season to get ready to start again already, just because I think Tomlin is doing some things, and we're going to have a lot more money than we ever had before. So there's some things to be excited for Steeler Nation, and it's not going to be another train coming at the end of the tunnel this time with the light. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I got, man. And I appreciate you for having me on, man. Take it easy.
Oh, yeah. Real quick, man. If you're still there, real quick.
Yeah, what's up?
Let me ask you this question. What if, and it might happen, I doubt it, but what if the 49ers mess around and give us their first round pick for AB? Because they picking early. If I'm not mistaken, they might be in the top 5.
I mean, I'd like the only thing that I have an issue with, and I know it might not be a big deal to everybody else. My thing is, I don't want the perception to become that you can act out and you can act a fool, and then you essentially end up dictating where you want to go. I think James Harrison kind of already set that precedent a little bit when he had kind of started acting out and doing what he did just to get released. I think the worst thing you could do is do that exact same situation and start showing guys, well, you know, if you do this, that, and the third, then we'll trade you. And if the situation's right, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want to get into that, but a 5th round pick would be real nice. I mean, you could do a lot with that. So
somebody said they pick at number 2. Nah, they'll be stone fools if they do that.
I mean, I'd be at a loss for words. I'm already at a loss for words now, trying to think about what we would do with the number 2 pick. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of talent. I think on the defensive side of the ball, especially when you watch it like the Alabama Clemson game, everybody constantly wants to talk about Nick Saban's defense and all their guys, and they got some great players. That Quinn Williams dude to me is going to be a monster. But there's a lot of guys on that side of the ball for Clemson too that you might want to keep an eye on. There's some cornerbacks, and I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. There's a cornerback with some good size on him, a younger guy. I think he might be able to kind of do something, who's going to be entering the draft. They always got some pretty good linebackers. So there's a bunch of different things. Now the tough thing, and I'm sorry for being long-winded. The tough thing though to me is if you don't move Antonio Brown relatively early, and he's due for a roster bonus in March, but AR2 said that it doesn't really matter whether he gets the roster bonus or not. They'll still do what they got to do. So you prefer to move him sooner than later just to kind of, I guess, get that draft board set. And I believe the Steelers, I'd like to believe, will do their due diligence. We've been shown otherwise sometimes, but that's a different story for another time. But you'd like to think they do their due diligence, and hopefully you find a way to maneuver around a couple of things and grab a guy that will fall to you. 20 is a good pick to me. I think that's the highest one we've had in the last 5 years.
Been a minute.
Yeah, so you just got to be real careful, and it's not always about the first round picks. You got 2nd round guys. Stephon Tuitt is still on the defense. 3rd round guys, 4th, 5th, 6th. You just got to be real aggressive in free agency and let the draft kind of do what it does. I'd really like to see them do more in free agency, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, man, I hope they do something, man. I definitely appreciate your call, man. Thank you very much, man. Let's give Jalen a round of applause, man. Excellent call there. Now let Jalen go a little longer, man, because, you know, there's only one caller. So anytime it's like that, I'll let you go past that 2 minute. Thought he brought up some great points. Very, very good points. And I'll spend the next 4 or 5 minutes or so looking here in the chat. One thing I wanted to say really quick, man, is to answer Kenyon. Kenyon, I know they ain't doing that. Man, 49ers would be out of their mind to give up the number 2 pick. And here's the thing that some of you guys have to realize, man. We can't keep looking at AB as what he is, okay? And, you know, me and my father-in-law, Leonard, was having this discussion on Sunday. AB is, you could arguably say let's say by far he's the best, one of the best receivers in the league. He's easily in the top 3, even if you don't think he's still the number 1, right? But he's 30 years old. He's going to be 31, I believe, by the end of this season. I don't see giving up a number 2 pick for that. I mean, of course, his production is there, but guys, you got to look at it from a business. I think a lot of us are looking at AB for his production and saying, oh, yeah, if the Cowboys can get, you know, they give up a 1 for Amari Cooper, but Amari Cooper 23, 24 years old. That's worth the investment. And he's played in the league. He got a little season on him, and he's worked out for them. That was a great trade-off. But not at 30. You know what I'm saying? Not at 30. And yeah, AB might end up being a Jerry Rice type of guy where he could play well beyond 30 and still be successful. But no, you don't do that. You just don't do that. That's way too much to give up. If I'm the GM, I ain't jumping like that. Now there's a fool born. A fool is born every day. There's gonna be a team that's gonna be willing to give us a first. But the second overall pick, nope. Not me. I wouldn't do it. So, all right, man, let's take a look at the chat, see what you guys got for a little bit. Anthony Benacasa, nah, man, you're not late, man. It's never too late. You know, it always replays. I just appreciate you coming by. Devious says maybe we could get the 49ers second round this year and next year's first round. Now, see, something like that is very possible. Very, very possible. Eli Coolin says Cowboys going to cut Lee anyway. Yeah, I mean, Sean Lee, I'll take him. But, again, do we want him to be the starter at this point? I don't know. You saw Van Der Esch was able to do his thing even after Lee came back. Again, and I see some people out there talking about Thomas Davis. Guys, Thomas Davis, 35 years old. Okay? And if we were to get Thomas Davis, it would be just like it is now, where he's coming off the field in passing situations because our issue has been coverage. Now, again, I don't want to poo-poo his performance. If he can still ball, I'll bring him in for veteran minimum or something like that if he still want to play. But let's not act like he's the answer. I'm looking at that kid. Oh, I see somebody already saying it in here. That kid, Devin White, looking like that, okay, for LSU. He looks like that's the typical Steelers pick right there. The kid will be 21 in February, underclassmen. That's what they like right there. If he could fall to 20, yeah, you go after him. He'll be a monster. More AGWS says get Landon Collins. I don't think Landon Collins makes free agency unless the Giants is trying to blow things up. I think they're going to re-up him or tag him or something like that. But, yeah, if he comes free, yeah, maybe do your best to get Landon Collins. Okay? And we can eat, and Terrell Edmonds will still just have to be like the dime backer or the sub-package linebacker. So I'll take that lineup. Okay? Sean Davis, Landon Collins, and Terrell Edmonds could learn under those guys and come in and play in third down situations, sub-package situations. I'll take that because Morgan Burnett has got to go. Super Bowl predictions. I don't have them quite yet, man, but I'll throw it out there just for the... I'm looking at Saints and Chiefs. I like to see that. I like to see Saints and Chiefs. I would like to see Andy Reid get them a ring. Obviously, I don't want to see the Patriots get another ring. I'm tired of seeing them in the Super Bowl. Not only, because they're the Patriots. I'm not hating on the Patriots. They've been a successful franchise. But I like to see new people grind and get their way there. And I think Andy Reid deserves one. So I would like to see the Chiefs and Saints, and it would be great to see Andy Reid, and the young boy Mahomes, get them a ring. That'd be dope. But I think that's who it's probably going to be. Yeah, I think the Saints will get the Rams again. It's just my gut feeling. I don't know. The Rams look hot right now too, so I can't really call it. Frank V says he's rooting for Mahomes. Yeah, me too, man. I really wish that kid could have failed. I wish Andy Reid didn't see first round potential in him, man. I was hoping he was going to be like one of those third rounders, and he might have been sitting there when Dobbs was available. Because, they had already met with Patrick Mahomes. Oh, man. Would have loved to have had that kid. Debbie says, I want Andy Reid to get a ring as well. He missed his chance in Philly. Absolutely. I want him to get a ring, man. Jalen says that corner. Oh, yeah. Brian Murphy out of Washington. Keep your eye up on him. Keep your eyes on him. What up, Neff? See, Neff is in here enjoying some Steelers banter. Excuse me. Austin, what up, Austin? Austin says, we all love AB for his tremendous production and chemistry with Ben. So no matter what he does, it'll be hard if he does get traded. I always envision him being a Steeler his entire career. I agree with you, man. It's going to be hard for any of us to adjust to that. But if and only if he's really that locker room cancer, you got to let him go, man. It just is what it is. We can't hold on to that, man, if he's really that disruptive. Richard says, I hope AB gets traded to a team like the Raiders so he regrets leaving Pittsburgh. You wishing bad on him? Eli says, Sim, people still sleeping on James Washington. What with AB gone, you think he could blossom? I think he will. I think James Washington finally showed us in the last couple games what he could be, making those tough catches and, you know, the things we saw out of him in college for us, you know, who kind of scouted him, and for some of you guys who watched him in the preseason. You know, I just think it took him a while to develop, you know, during the season. I wouldn't think he would take AB's production per se, but I could see a James Washington and a Juju, a 1-2. That could be a pretty decent 1-2. We're going to have to find somebody else in the slot, though. I think we need another legit person to play in the slot. No disrespect to Switzer or Eli. Well, you never know if we bring Eli back, maybe. But it's going to take, I do believe it will take somebody like Juju being the number one to allow James Washington, you know, to get off and blossom. And I think we definitely going to need another real third option because, you know, losing AB is going to be tough. Kenyon says they want to get Hargraves on the field more, so we will run that more often. Saw that defense a lot in the season finale. Yeah, absolutely, man. We're going to definitely be running a lot of that big nickel, the 3-3-5, if you will. I think we're going to see that, man. I hope so, because Hargraves, let's keep it honest. You know, Javon, you know, Jay Wobble was able to make some things happen, especially when he was filling in and actually rushing from the end spot. So I think, you know, he's shown that he's capable at the pass rush, you know, so got to give him some more opportunities, man. The kid has 6.5 sacks, you know, more than Stephon Tuitt. So I'm just saying, you know, we probably will see that type of rotation a little more and those type of formations to get him on the field. All right, I'm going to take 2 or 3 more of these, man, then we'll get up out of here. Area 51 VG says, we need a new punt returner. Switzer not cutting it. Yeah, Switzer looked promising in the beginning, man. I don't know if it's him or if it's just, you know, like my father-in-law Leonard would say, it could be the blocking scheme. I don't know, man. We haven't really had any real production from that area. And again, Switzer looked good in the beginning, but it seemed like he kind of regressed. And I don't know if it's all him or if it's, you know, the way we were approaching the punt returns. We'll see. And kick returns. You know, he looked very promising early. But then after that, you know, as the season went on, we didn't really see any splash from that area. So we'll see. Champagne Poppy says Eli is better in the slot than Switzer. I fully agree with that. My brother Tony says we're going to need something everywhere. Defensive ends and the backup nose tackles is McCullers. Oh, my goodness. Me and Tony talked about that earlier in the week, man. Oh, he said McCullers is gone. Yeah, McCullers got to be up out of there. Yeah, and Leonard says it's Danny Smith's fault. It could be. It could be Danny Smith, man. Who knows? But I just want to see more splash out of people that we have high hopes in. You know, we thought, you know, Ryan Switzer would change, you know, the narrative, but here we are still talking about that punt and kick returns. AGWS says Washington doesn't belong in the slot. Nope, he does not. He's an outside guy. Absolutely. So, all right, man, I think that should pretty much wrap us up, man. We're sitting at about 44 minutes. I'll take 1 or 2 more. We'll make it an even 45 minutes. Got me going way longer than necessary. Obi-Wan says, had a blast listening as always. This pod kicks a lot of butt. I appreciate that, man. Round of applause to you for the comment. Appreciate that, man. So what I will say going forward, definitely sitting, you know, speaking to Kenyon and some of you other guys, man, that's out there, you know, keeping your eye out. And guys, I want to invite you guys on, man. Let's start talking about some, you know, draft picks, you know, some guys that we might have our eye on in college, you know, who might fit. I want to start going back and looking at some of the plays that did us in. You know, even some of the good things that we did, you know, as long as I have access to the All-22 from last year, I want to go back and look at that 3rd and 20 against the Saints. So maybe we'll bring that on the next show just to show you how Morgan Burnett kind of got out of character on that play. the more and more I look at it. You know, we'll try to spread things out like that, man, until we get closer to free agency. And then once free agency hits, we'll have a lot to talk about there. And then as we get closer to the draft. So, you know, to try to keep this interesting until next season, you know, we'll keep coming up with some things to talk about, man. And, you know, once a week is probably pretty good right now since there's not a ton to talk about. And, yeah, we'll definitely get Kenyon on. He says he'll come on next week. So, yeah, there we go. And, yeah, I don't know what we do with Shazier. We'll close it with that. I don't know. I don't know what we do with Shazier, especially if he's not going to be ready, which I don't expect him to be. I don't know how they handle that situation. You know, I really don't. So, we'll see what happens. But, all right, man, like always, love you guys. Appreciate y'all coming through. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and be a part of the home team. Definitely cut on your notifications so you're fully aware of the next video. And don't forget to do this. Hit that like button, that thumbs up. Help your boy out a little bit in that regard. And for you guys who are interested in me streaming other things, I think I'm going to get back into that, man. I'll say for sure next week. You might catch a stream from me tomorrow. I'm not going to guarantee you. But I'm going to get back into the gaming streams, man. I think we'll probably start doing Monday and Wednesdays again. So that way we pretty much got, you know, Monday's a stream, Terrible Towel on Tuesday, another stream on Wednesday, and then the Sim Standard on Thursday to kind of keep you guys, you know, fully covered. All right, so that's going to do it. Catch you guys next week. Y'all be good, be safe. And, yeah, thanks for tuning in to Terrible Towel Tuesday. Peace.